our good friend, the blue section. If you hadn't noticed yet, the last element in all of them is always in the blue section. So this is, if the first one is in the blue section, then they're all in the blue section. If they're all in the blue section, they're all on the same side of the magic line. What kind of bond happens when they're on the same side of the magic line? Covalent. So these are covalent bonds. They can happen in so many different ways that we have to be very specific when we name them. For instance, nitrogen and oxygen can go together in like a bajillion different ways. So you can't ever say nitrogen oxide because that's not specific enough. There's 1,000 ways, okay, there's at least a handful of ways nitrogen and oxygen can go together. So you have to use scientific prefixes to tell the number of atoms in any given compound. So mono, di, tri, tetra, penta, hexa, hepta, octa, nona, deca. Okay? You gotta know those. You don't need to know past 10. So let me show you how these work. The only little catch or little trick is you don't ever put mono on the first atom. You'll understand what that means in a minute. So there are 2 nitrogens, so di-nitrogen. There are 4 oxygens, so tetroxide. Dinitrogen, tetroxide. You guys all know this one. Right? You guys hear this, see this, talk about this one all the time. That's carbon dioxide. It's not monocarbon dioxide because you don't ever put mono on the first one. So if the first one is left blank, you can assume it's mono. All right, let's do a few more examples of this. What would this guy be called? How many silicons are there? 2, so it's disilicon. That's bromine. So hexabromide. Gotta have the D at the end. I. So this one. Carbon monoxide. What about this one? How many phosphorus?
2.
So it's diphosphorus pentoxide. And lastly here, what do you think that stands called? 1. You gotta add an IDE at the end. So it's diboron monosilicide. But if you wrote monosilicide, you know what? As long as I understand that you know where your monos and your dis and all that stuff go, we're gonna be okay. All right. Last thing. Polyatomic ion. Let's break down this word. What does poly mean? Many. So polyatomic means many atoms. Okay, so what is an ion?
An atom with a charge.
Oh my gosh, you guys are geniuses. It's an atom with a charge. Exactly.
You're a horrible actor.
It's like the Hills. You script it out. Sometimes multiple things come together and they still have a charge. Do you remember when we were drawing Lewis structures and sometimes they would have a negative charge, like NO3 with a -1 above it? And so you would add up your total electrons that you got for NO3 and then you'd add 1 more extra electron to it. Same difference. They have a negative charge on it. So it's really kind of overwhelming at first, but you follow the exact same rules as the ones before. You treat it exactly the same. You just have a couple more letters involved. So let me show you. Here is the list. There's a better list on page 100 in your textbook. But this list works. So whenever you have a T involved, a T means you're going to have a polyatomic ion. So for instance, if you see written down sulfide with a D, that's just sulfur. But if you see written down sulfate with a T, it's polyatomic, it's SO4. Alright, so I know it might be a little overwhelming. You treat them exactly the same as any other ion with the same charge. So, I tell you, hey, draw me or write me out the formula for sodium nitrate. You see that T at the end? You know, oh, okay, we got a polyatomic ion here. I can look at a sheet of polyatomic ions. I have this memorized, which you should do soon. You can look on page 100, and you can see that it's NO3, and it has a charge of -1. So it has a charge of -1, so it's just kind of like a chlorine ion, right? You treat it like chlorine. So 1 sodium, 1 of those, 1 plus, 1 minus, bam, they go together, done, NaNO3. Same with this. Sulfate is SO4 with a -2 charge. So calcium has a +2 charge, +2, -2, bam, done, easy. Phosphate has a +3, -3 charge. So you throw that with iron 3, +3, -3, done. Chlorate. This should say calcium. That's my fault. I apologize. Chlorate has a -1 charge. So just like if you were combining calcium and chlorine, right? Chlorine has a -1 charge. So you need 1 calcium, but 2 of the -1s put together to balance it out. So what you do, put parentheses around the entire polyatomic ion, and then you would put your 2 or your 3 or your 4 down here underneath it.